Holy crystal ball. This is Flight Check Season 2, Episode 7. We're back once again talking FlyQuest in all capacities. And you know, we are the biggest capacity of them all, a top 2 team in LCS. That is something, I'll be honest, I wasn't sure if I was going to be saying that this season, but boy does it feel nice. Top 2 team.
We're ready to say it this season.
Top 2 team after 3 weeks, and damn, it feels good. My name is Sandy Toes, and to my left and my extra left are my fellow hosts, Nox Late War and Curly Double Q. Nox, I just want let the viewer understand that the show usually starts at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm not exactly sure how we got to an 8:25 start. It happens like that. But, hey, welcome to the show. We usually start at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. How was your 2-0 weekend?
Well, the weekend, let me tell you, was fabulous. It was a great weekend. Celebrated Valentine's Day on Saturday because couldn't do it on Monday. So going from beating Digni-toss into a fancy date night with the girlfriend.
Yeah.
Into Sunday and us beating 100 Thieves. Pretty good weekend. Pretty good weekend.
I would firmly agree with that one. Curly, after the excitement of football has left your system after last week, you can
I cared about football.
Yeah, you can put your full and sole focus on LCS once again. The 2-0, I mean, give me just like the 15-second instant reaction. I mean, how does it make you feel? Are you excited, optimistic? Are we at the peak? How are we feeling here?
How we're feeling is freaking awesome, man. I mean, like last week I predicted the 2-0, and Saturday I checked, we beat Digni-toss. I was like, all right, we got to do it tomorrow. Yeah. I was watching the game as we won. I was like elated.
Yeah.
Like it was just, man, I was on my way to D&D as we crushed their Nexus, and it was just so nice. And I wouldn't say we've peaked. We are still climbing up because there's still 3 teams we got to take down before I say we can check where we are. But, man, this is amazing. And I love it.
Yeah, and I think the thing for me, and I'm sure we'll get into this more tonight, is, one, I don't want to say that there's, like, some level of, like, vindication. Because if we're being honest as a show, we were not this high on the team to start the season, right? Mm-hmm. And they have surprised even us, probably their most ardent supporters in the entire FlyQuest fan community. So to see where we're at right now, and also, because there were a lot of other analysts and pundits and what have you ranking FlyQuest even lower than we had, because we all had them collectively in that like 7 to 9 range. Nox was unwilling to put us in 10th, but
I'm glad I was not willing to.
I'm also glad.
It'd be a little awkward, but
clearly,
don't get me wrong, it is still awkward. Like
yeah.
We're out. Okay, even if you want to count the tiebreaker and how technically we're down 0-1 to like TL,
yeah,
and we're not ignoring that we're technically tied for first. We're second, right?
Right.
That is the direct inverse of what I thought we were.
Yeah. So
by all means, y'all can shame me, and I will happily take it.
Well, I mean, for my part, it feels really good to have, when people doubt you and your ability, and then you watch your team succeed, it feels so much better. Like, Team Liquid is expected to just win, right? Like, they're expected to just stomp through.
That's what they're created to do.
If they do anything less than that, it's a failure for them, right? And this team, we had Nick on the show, right? And he was like, the big goal is, got to make playoffs. right now we're on a really
Big goal's
good.
making a bye for playoffs.
Yeah, right now, I mean, the goal seems to be even higher. The ceiling seems to be even higher than we previously thought it was. So that feels really good to just kind of take down some of the naysayers, if you will, the people who, only really look at teams on paper and say, oh, well, these teams just simply have the better players. It's not about who has the best hands. And clearly there's something special about this team already that is able to just take these dubs and, just keep succeeding. And look at that. We're 5-1, tied with Team Liquid for first place in the LCS, and Super Week is upon us. So let's get into the Week 3 recap, starting out with the Digni-toss match that happened Saturday. Or should I say Digni-toss, because once again, Digni-toss as an organization loses the game at Baron. I don't know about loses the game, but definitely a turning moment in that match. And this game for me was certainly interesting because we got to see us, go even further away from how we opened up the season with the Smite tops, and now we put Kumo on the Irelia. And so, immediately we're just looking at a very different setup than what we had, previously been running and gotten wins with. So putting a lot of trust in Kumo on Irelia. We run Senna Tom Kench in the bot lane. Tukui gets the prized Corki. And then Jose Diodo. I loved his interview, by the way, after the game, where he was like, I knew they were going to ban out junglers. I thought they were going to ban Lee Sin on, Blue 123, and they did not. And he takes that Lee Sin, and he certainly punished them for it. And this felt like a good, strong win to me. So let's get into it. Nox, just starting with you. Give me your thoughts overall on this game. What were you seeing? What stood out to you here?
So big thing I want to emphasize so far this split is our drafting has been like a godsend compared to last year. We are being very creative with our drafts. It feels like every single week we're kind of breaking out something new. Like week 1 was obviously the support top Smite stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Week 2 we played a little more standard, in which case, a lot of teams I'm sitting here are probably sitting here prepping for oh my god, they're gonna break the support top Smite stuff. I don't know what to do with this. And so we play standard, and I'm sure that's kind of throwing teams off a little bit. And then we come into this week, and we pull out a Senna Kench lane, which I don't think has really been played in the LCS outside of
not this season.
Yeah, okay, so not even this season. So I'm sure teams weren't prepped for that. And then on Sunday, we pull out the Tryndamere and Veigar against 100 Thieves.
Mm-hmm.
We are a very hard team to prep for right now. Every single week, we continue to break out new stuff in draft, and that is awesome. Huge thumbs up to Sharks and Fantix on the draft prep, because it is making teams absolutely work to figure out how to play what we want to play. So yeah, the big thing I want to start off with is the Senna Kench lane, because I think it took a Digni-toss off guard. Aphromoo was an absolute tank.
Mm-hmm.
There was that one fight in the mid game where he got absolutely chunked for 3/4 of health, full health again with the help of Johnson. It was just nothing happened. Digni-toss turned away. So, that and just I think this weekend really Jose Diodo is feeling himself, man.
Oh my god!
This weekend really emphasized why I think FlyQuest decided to keep Jose Diodo, because I know a lot of people were like, "Hey, bring on NXI."
Yeah.
This weekend's showing why he deserved another shot on this team, and why I'm very glad I stood by him too, thinking he deserved another shot. Because I know he's a good jungler. He's shown he's a good jungler, and this weekend, his terms of pathing in the early game absolutely beat both Closer and River in the early game. Don't get me wrong, both of those junglers had their moments in later on in the game, but at least in the early game, Jose outpathed them, and it was fantastic to see, and it helped get Kumo ahead.
Yeah, Curly, what were your What were where were your thoughts in terms of this matchup? So, I mean, talking about first of all, I want to get your thoughts on the top lane matchup. So
Yeah,
the Irelia and the Graves, and I believe the Irelia was the last pick, so it was into the Graves.
yeah.
So, I mean, talk to me about this matchup. I mean, when you're looking at it, what's the expectation here? I mean, what are your thoughts on that lane?
I mean, obviously, one thing you expect usually if you're taking melee into the range is that you're going to have a tough time. Like, you got to
Hmm.
try a little harder to make sure you're winning lane. Kumo didn't care about that precedent at all. He just continuously had the pressure, like the adequate pressure on Fake God, and was just playing better and never once had a deficit in CS, like, and was even putting out more damage in early lane trades than Graves was. And he was like, there were a lot of moments where you could feel him like getting ready to make a really big play, and just one thing went tight, like one small thing went wrong. Like the only reason he died from the gank that Jose Dioto had tried to give him was because of Fake God's flash. If Fake God didn't flash, he would have gotten the ult off, he would have gotten the kill, and he would have ran away with lane way quicker than he did.
Hmm.
And then the fact that gank failed and Jose Dioto died for it, and it didn't really hurt Kumo in his laning at all, and Jose Dioto wasn't really too affected by that slight misplay. Like, just really good on the top side. Then another thing is, like, talking about Dakui in the mid lane, like, just, doing the thing he always does,
Yeah.
applying a good amount of pressure to blue. Like, it wasn't as quick as it always was, but it still was there. And so this had me feeling very good about our top side of the map. And then, just we knew bot lane was going to be on lock. Nothing against Neo and Biofrost. It's just Afromu and Johnson, the way they've
Hmm.
been vibing all season. I'd argue, I mean, aside from the fact that we're already in top, like, tied for first, you cannot call them anything less than a top 3 bot lane on a bad day, in my opinion.
Yeah, I
So,
actually want to talk about this bot lane of Senna TK. We've not seen a ton of that in the LCS, really. I actually, unless my memory is cheating me here, I don't know if we've seen the Senna Tom Kench lane like this all season long so far.
mhm.
Knox, I don't know if you remember if any other
So,
teams have played it or if another league has played it maybe, but it's
okay,
not
so
as
I'm very confident at minimum another league has played it, but
yeah.
I'm not sure if LCS has. I
Okay.
think we actually may be the first LCS team to do it.
We
Okay.
are, because I'm looking at the entire spring history, and the only other Senna was pulled out by 100 Thieves, and that was with Set.
Set support against the Immortals.
Okay, there was one other Senna, and that was Danny on it with Rel. And no, it wasn't against Immortals, it was against EG.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's just very it's cool to me to see that we're willing to play bot lanes that are not super meta right now, that we're willing to again go outside of the kind of the boundaries. I mean, we've seen what do people play right now? It's Jinx, Aphelios. Yeah, Aphelios.
Barry, if it's not banned. Caitlyn, if it's not banned.
Aphelios.
Jinx. I'm just looking. Jinx, Aphelios. I see a
Maybe some
Varus,
Jin here and there.
game, Ezreal here and there, but it's literally Jinx, Aphelios, maybe a Jin. Um,
I've seen one, maybe two Caitlyn's.
yeah, just not a lot of variety in the bot lane.
No.
So nice to see us break this combo out. We know that Senna Tom Kench is a very powerful lane. And, I mean, there were a couple moments that really stood out to me. One was when we got the 3 kills near, I think it was near drag, around like the 16 to 18 minute mark. Big turning point there.
For sure.
That felt really good, and it was from that moment in the game that I felt like we were in control, and we maintained that control throughout. And that, I think, is my big point for this game, is we gained control and then we maintained it. There was no, I think there were a couple weird times where like we gave up a kill or a pick, but nothing that was ever crippling. Nothing that was ever like letting them back into the game, giving them a shot at, picking up, gold or towers or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I felt we were in control a lot because the takeaway I had from my VOD review today was we did have little slip ups here or there, but we were always able to get something out of it. I think it was the second Drake. We weren't able to get it, so we decided to take 2 of their lives instead. It's like, all right, we lost the Drake. We'll just take a couple of your lives. We'll get some kills. We'll get some gold. We spent a lot of time in that mid lane fight that gave Jose Dioto 4 kills, but Blue was able to get all the way to our inhib turret, or no, to the inhibitor. He didn't get the inhib, but he got it all the way to that top inhib, but we didn't let them get anything past that. For the rest of that, until we got the Baron and were able to push all the way back to their inhib and actually take the inhib, we did a perfect job of never letting them do anything. We just did a lot of good. All right, we lost this small thing. How do we make it mean nothing, and how do we get ourselves ahead? And it was just continuous throughout, where you lose an objective, you get a good kill, or you get pressure elsewhere. We lost a tower. Let's do this. That was the entire match to me. And it reflected in the fact that we were consistently ahead in gold, even when they had technically better map plays.
Yeah.
I think overall, I was going to say, we've become one of the better trading teams in the league right now. All 6 of our games have not, outside of TSM, because that was the one and only stomp, all 6 of our games have been very back and forth, where both ourselves and whoever we were playing had gold lead. The game was swingy. So I think it's very nice to see that, no matter what, you're going to have to work to get a win again, which is just great to see. I like the fact that no matter what, the pressure stays on, because at any point, if you slip up, you've seen how clutch these fights have been. There's lots and lots of people out there who are currently saying, hey, FlyQuest just got lucky. If they don't win some of these fights here or there, they could easily be 3-3 right here. In which case, my response to them is, yeah, but the thing is, we've repeatedly shown that we're clutch in fights. So I think you're going to have to do better than that if you were going to want to take wins against us.
Yeah. Yeah. Another thing that I really liked was we continued to show priority on first Drake, stacking those up early, quickly. I think it's pretty clear to me, at least, that a lot of our game plans have revolved around going for soul point or forcing the other team to come in for a soul fight, and taking advantage of them feeling rushed and hurried, and using those mistakes to take advantage. One particular macro, I don't know if I would call it macro, but just kind of a play that I want to call out is that late game fight. I'm 99% sure this was the Digni-toss game. I literally just watched both games back to back, so hopefully I'm not mixing up the two. But we kind of started up Baron, and this was late, around the 30 to 35 minute mark, maybe 35. Started up Baron. They come for it. We peel away, and we kind of go up and around Baron, and it looks like we're just leaving, and they have no vision, and they're just oh, we'll sneak Baron while they are resetting and doing their recall, and then out of nowhere, we come out of the dark, and you can just see the moment where Dig has that record scratch freeze frame. Yup, That's me. You're probably wondering how I got into this situation. It all started when I tried to sneak a Baron while I thought they were resetting. And then we just kind of wipe the floor and take Baron from it, and basically that's game right there.
Win the game. Yeah.
I don't know who made that call. Whoever it was, I would love for them to take credit for it so that I can just
8,000 IQ.
praise
I have
them.
to imagine part of it is Jose, right?
Yeah.
Because Jose is the one that made the play. Like, there's no way Jose doesn't have some part of that call while
Like,
he's
I can
making
go
the
in.
roundabout around Baron, cuts River off and gets a perfect kick right into Flight Quest. Like, it's just beautifully played, right?
Yeah.
So I have to imagine at least part of that credit has to go to Jose.
Yeah, it was. So I was just really pleased with just that maneuver. I don't think I don't know if those kinds of things are appreciated enough when we see them in game. You know, usually we're like, oh, the laning, oh, the team fight, but just kind of like the head game that got played there, where it was like, we know they don't have vision here. Let's take advantage of that, use the fog of war to our advantage, swoop back in, take the game, take the fight, take the game, and it was really, really cool to see. I loved that moment.
Well, another thing I saw from this match, too, is just a lot of confidence and coordination from everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, everything felt like every moment felt perfectly like this is what we wanted to do. And I want to say there might have been one team fight that wasn't like that. And they were like, all right, we messed up this one, not doing that the rest of the match.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just absolutely beautiful. And I think it was the Digni-toss match, because it was when Tukui was on Corki, where like we are so confident that he TPs way deep bot lane to cut them off, dies for it, and then we still get something out of it. It's like it's insane. And if we keep this up, I see so much good things in our future. I'm trying not to get ahead of ourselves, but like if we keep playing like we did this weekend, oh my god, man. Oh my god.
Yeah, it felt good. I mean, I'm going to unfortunately be the one to like exercise and encourage caution that we don't get like too ahead of ourselves.
Absolutely.
We've still got the Super Week coming up. Strength of schedule is still not really on our side. But
we really did get the low-ranked teams out of the way early on.
Yes, to be fair, it's good that we beat them all, and it's a good sign because it's like, okay, these are the teams that we should be beating. And I don't like it when folks try to use that as like, oh, FlyQuest, their wins aren't worth anything. They just beat up on all the bad teams. 100 Thieves lost to Immortals. So, you can lose to the bad teams, but you should be beating them, right? And so for our only loss to be to the other team that we are tied for first with after 6 games, very good sign. And I keep saying this line, not to get ahead of ourselves, but for week 4, 2 of the 3 teams that we're playing don't look good. And so I think signs are positive. All right, that is the Digni-toss game. Any other final notes on it before we move to the next match?
Who got player of the game that game?
It was Jose.
Jose Diaz.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely agree with that one then. Okay.
Yeah, his Lee Sin was definitely on point, as the kids say. All right, moving on to week 3 recap. The match against 100 L's.
Quite possibly the most important match for this podcast.
It's honestly true. We have a great relationship with 100 Talk Pod. We love those guys. Definitely some friendly banter going on throughout the week, throughout the day as the game was going on. And I would say this was a really good game. Here's the thing that I will say. I think 100 Thieves should have won this game.
Interesting.
I actually think that. I think they had the opportunity. They just did not take advantage of them. Now, their big issue was that they let the Vigart go for way too long. And,
There were a few other issues.
But we'll start with the Vigart. And let's start with the draft. I loved the Vigart pick.
Oh my god.
Really loved the Vigart pick. This is a complete side tangent, but I was watching the TL game from Saturday where Bjergsen also played Vigart. He hit 1,000 AP on Vigart literally as the Nexus was exploding. So that was really fun to see. And then so Tukui takes the Vigart, and I need to look at the way the picks and bans went, because I don't remember if we took that into...
We went Jinx, Thresh, Vigart third, and they first picked Corki.
They first picked Corki. So we take the... So yeah, we take the bot lane of Jinx, Thresh, really powerful bot lane. They take Aphelios, Leona in response, and then we counterpick the Corki with Vigart, and that leaves top jungle up. So we basically trade back some, back and forth some jungle and top bans. And then Jose takes Hecarim. They go Gnar Trundle. And then we finish off with Kumo. R5 Tryndamere. And I believe this was the first time we've seen Kumo play this on stage this season.
It is.
And I want to make a note clear, and this was something that the Dive talked about last week, which is that playing a champ for the first time on stage does not mean you are first timing that champ 99% of the time. So
unless you're Fudge.
Unless you're Fudge and you're literally first timing Soraka. But I guarantee you Kumo has played this in scrims, almost certainly has probably played this in solo queue. So he's not first timing this champ. Otherwise, anytime a rookie, gets on stage, oh my god, he's first timing LeBlanc. It's just his first game in the LCS ever. So, I saw someone somewhere was like, dang, Kumo busting out the first time Tryndamere and rolling with it shows you how easy this champion is. It's like, no. It's like, no, he definitely has played this other than stage. So,
yeah, I actually really want to, give props to Kumo here, because even as Zale mentioned it right as the match was beginning, he's like, this is actually a very rough lane for the Tryndamere in the early game, right? And what was great for us as the observers was we actually followed that top lane for probably a good solid 6 out of the first 8 minutes. There was a lot of time spent.
It was the Kumo show, baby.
Yeah.
In which case, he actually was shutting down the Gnar when it's not a good matchup for the Tryndamere. He was blowing flash on Someday. He was drawing pressure from Closer up top, burned his flash too, resulted in his flash, resulted in another gank from Closer coming up. And, it was just they couldn't get anything out of it. It was just Summers were being burnt, but there was no pressure being put on, and it just allowed eventually for Jose to come top and punish Someday. It was just, there was so much pressure topside, and I really want to emphasize, to a lot of people right now, including myself, because I have been a huge proponent of the idea that Kumo is just our weak side player. He's going to be the one that's kind of put off to the side. He's going to take his shit and just deal with it, and that's what it's going to be, while our bot lane, who's, what Curly was saying earlier, maybe debatably top 3 in the league right now, we're just going to let them do their thing, and we're going to let our mid lane, who's looking like an MVP candidate, do his thing. No, Kumo's like, I deserve some spotlight this season. I'm going to show you how it's done. There's no more tanks happening. There's no more weak side playing. I'm breaking out the Aurelia. I'm breaking out the Tryndamere. I'm breaking out the support smite tops. This man is demanding respect right now. And you know what? I'm sorry I haven't been giving it, but I'm going to be giving it now, because he's looked damn good. He deserved the player of the game this game, and I'm happy where he's at right now, and I'm excited to see where he's continuing to go.
Hey, remember when your armchair GM draft had Jenkins instead of Kumo? Man,
a wild couple months.
Yeah, right? No, because, like, here's the thing. Before I get in, like, we go any further, I do want to focus on Kumo right now, because I've been saying this week in, week out. Kumo will fill whatever role Sharks and Richard ask him to fill. They'll be doing the setup, like, they'll be whatever game prep it is. Kumo's being, like, they're like, Kumo, you're playing support today. He's like, I got you. Kumo, you're being Orn today. I got you. Kumo, you're the carry. I got you.
Hmm.
Kumo, I feel like he has a champion ocean at this point, and I didn't even realize that. At first, I was like, all right, he can play a couple things. I think if you look at every top lane viable champ, he can put it there. And the only person I know in the league that can rival that depth is Bwipo, because Bwipo's also known for pulling other things out, whereas your other NA top laners are usually your standard, I'll be the bruiser or I'll be the weak side, and maybe a carry here or there, you know?
Yeah.
And so just seeing Kumo step up so much and like fill all these roles and just continuously improve week in and week
Hmm.
out, it's the best thing for me.
Yeah.
I love it so much.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's hilarious, you kids talking shit about Kumo. You wouldn't say this shit to him at LAN. He's jacked. Not only that, but he wears the freshest clothes, eats at the chillest restaurants, and hangs out with the hottest dudes. Y'all are pathetic. I mean,
You
I,
know,
What else
the
can I
fly
say?
roster is pretty. You
I
know,
mean,
they are some
I
fly
think
dudes.
that I think that just kind of sums it up. Sums it up right there. Yeah, Kumo looks good. I believe I saw somewhere, Knox, I think you sent this screenshot around. Peter Dunn in one of the either the Oracle's Elixir Discord
In the
or
Oracle's Elixir Discord, yeah.
basically saying that if the season was to end today and he was voting for All Pro, he would put
Maybe
Kumo.
first team All-Pro.
He would put Kumo down as his first team All Pro. I mean that is high praise. And yeah, I think it's time to put some respect on Kumo's name. Um, so yeah, so there's that. So let's talk about this game. So if we're being honest, the game does not start out in our favor. At one point, we are down 3,000 gold.
4,000 even.
Was it 4,000 at one point?
Actually, I think it peaked at 5,000.
It's 6,000 actually.
Was it?
Peaked at 6,000.
It was
6,000.
actually a 20,000 gold deficit, guys.
We actually had no gold, and they had everything.
Yeah. We actually didn't have any items while they were all on 6 items. That's really what was going on there. So if I'm being honest, yeah, I thought this game was. I'm not going to say over, but I was not optimistic about how it was going. They were getting a lot of kills, especially after they dived bot lane early, and FBI got the double kill on the Aphelios. You know, a very, very powerful champ. I was not optimistic about our ability to fight into that Aphelios after it gets 2 kills in the early game. Like, that's going to be tough. However, the Vigar comes in clutch, and if one of you wants to talk about this Vigar pick, please do. I think it's just I was just really excited to see it, and I was really excited to see how Tukui piloted it. It was really, really good.
I think the genius of this Vigar pick is you have a Tryndamere top lane who is terrifying, right? Because it's just straight. It's a stat check, right? It's just straight AD. He's coming to maul you down with his attack damage, and you have to build armor for that, right? And you have a Jinx, more attack damage, and then Hecarim does like mix and magic, whatever. But like, just you're not really itemizing to protect yourself against this Vagar, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and so you saw it mid lane when Someday got caught, just got absolutely nuked, like 2k HP gone in an instant.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
There was even a moment where Closer, on the Trundle, I don't recall what his build looked like, but he got chunked down to half health.
Bad too.
He got chunked down to half health.
So part of it is the draft overall, right? Like it has a supporting staff making sure it can do what it needs to do, but at the same time, it is just a strong pick. And it's actually kind of genius in the sense that if you go look at all of FlyQuest games, once again, minus the TSM one, like the one outlier in the best way possible, like our games have been going kind of long, right? And it's because we want to make sure we close out cleanly and make sure that we do everything correctly. And in some cases, it makes sure we have time to claw it back.
Yeah.
And so this Vagar pick is great in that sense because it is probably one of the best scalers in the game, especially for AP damage. And so just everything about this Vagar pick is just, it's chef's kiss. Beautiful. I cannot give enough credit to Sharks for using it himself after seeing Bjergsen doing it the day before.
Yeah, and I'm sure it was more than just, oh, Bjergsen ran this, we can run it too,
Oh, I'm sure we've been practicing it,
Yeah.
but like seeing Bjergsen run it successfully on stage gives us even more confidence. Like, yeah, if he can do it, like, you can absolutely do it too.
Yeah, Vigar is not really a champ. When I think of, like, Bjergsen champs, Vigar does not come to mind, if I'm being honest.
No,
so,
at all.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool to see that. Couple moments that I want to talk about. I think we have to talk about the game-ending fight and Tukui's hands. I mean, there's no other way to say it. His hands in that game was just absolutely incredible.
Yeah. I was gonna say though really quick because like that's the end of the game.
Yeah,
right?
Sure.
We should hold that off for a
Okay,
minute,
yeah,
right?
absolutely.
It's a lot to talk about there.
Yeah, I mean, bring up your points, please.
I was gonna say because I've seen lots and lots of debate, and I want to hear both of y'all's thoughts. But how much of an effect do you guys think objective bounties had on this game in our favor?
Very little, very very little, and I'll get to it in a minute because I feel like I want to let Sandy go first so I can refute him.
No,
you're gonna have to refute him, huh?
Okay.
All I was gonna say about it was maybe to some extent, but really not as much as I think other folks are saying. I think they certainly helped. Like on the scale of like did they hurt? No, absolutely not. It definitely helped to get some objective bounties.
We only got 2 objective bounties.
Yeah.
And I want to say the most beneficial one would be when Johnson was solo pushing top turret and got that for himself. That might have given him the extra gold he needed to get a part of a build,
Mm-hmm.
So that one maybe was worth it for Johnson individually. But then the other objective bounty I recall us getting, I believe, was it the Drake? Yeah, it was Drake. And so that's split amongst a lot of people.
Yeah.
And so you're not getting a lot of gold off of that. And that's it. That is the only objective bounties we got the whole time. The rest of our gold comeback was shutting down Abadaga, was the flat gold from Baron, was continuing to get shutdowns, because, and I want to say at some points, Someday had lived long enough to get a farm bounty, which we claimed. Like, it was not objective bounties. It was objectively better play is what got us the gold back. And so we just started playing smarter. Like, we had gotten kicked in a little bit. So we took a second. We came back. We rallied. We made smart plays. We got the kills that we needed to do. And now the game was ours. And so that is what won us the game. It was not objective bounties really at all. So
It was Kumo being an absolute toxic chat on Tryndamere and soloing Abadage under turret is what it was.
Well, it wasn't just that, though, because another thing I saw was, I don't know when exactly it happened, but at some point, so Johnson was pretty far down in CS from Aphelios, and then at some point he just started running away with it, and by the end of the game, I want to say it was like 60, 70 CS ahead of FBI. Like, just every player that was set back a bit, because even Tukui never regained his CS at all, because Abadaga, I'll give Abadaga credit here, he actually did a good job of keeping Tukui on the ropes more than Tukui normally keeps other laners on the ropes. So, like, good job, Abadaga. But he didn't let that stop him, as we saw. So, like, it was just every player knew how to come back in their own little way.
Yeah, and I was going to talk about how, speaking of, like, making a comeback, great to see the mentality not waver. Great to see us not crumble and just go down without a fight, to go look for picks, to be an absolute Chad on the Tryndamere, like Kumo did, and walk in, use your ult, solo down Abadage. Yeah, he did die, but it did create, I believe, 2 other kills in that
It did,
fight.
yeah, because he hit him 3 times and he's gone.
Yeah, and we got a couple other kills, and that was Baron right there.
Boogie and Abaddon,
Because I think it was just Someday and FBI remaining after that.
Yep.
So their jungle's gone, right? So they can't really contest, barring a miracle Gnar steal somehow.
Imagine that.
Yeah, and I can't imagine that happening. So, yeah, and that's the thing that I think we have not seen a lot of in LCS is teams being willing to try to make plays even if the odds are not in their favor. Like, if, being willing to take this is a 35-65 fight, or this is a 40-60 fight, guys. Like, can we do it? And just, like, trusting in your teammates, trusting in your comms, trusting in your hands enough to go in and doing that. And when you trust in those things, when you have the faith and the communication and the synergy, that levels the odds. Because, your opponents might not be expecting Kumo to just run in on the Tryndamere like that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of thing, like when you're surprised, right, it takes you a little bit longer to react appropriately.
Absolutely.
And I think that's really what it did, is it's like, oh wow, we were not expecting FlyQuest, to like play 100 Thieves here. Oh wow, we weren't expecting FlyQuest to actually put up a fight. We were expecting them to just kind of roll over, mutter something about the trees, and then say, have a nice day, we'll see you later.
Yeah, look out for Mother Nature, bro.
Yeah. Oh, watch out, don't tread on us, or whatever you want to say. So, great to see the mentality be strong, looking for the picks, looking for the comeback moments, and, just going for it.
Another thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
So after this too, because like you said, after this we get Baron, and so I want to talk Baron in this matchup, because there were 3 Barons in the whole game, and only 2 of them mattered, and they were our Barons. Because so we get this first Baron, we get a lot out of it. Like, we get up to their base pretty much, and the only thing left was the tier 1 tower on the bottom, and I want to say we had chipped away at their Nexus. Or not Nexus, they're inhib towers. And then some time goes on, we get everything we can out of that, we retreat, we do the other things of the match, and then we go for the next Baron, and this one goes to 100 Thieves. But then we kill 3 of them, so what are they going to do with 2 of them? On arguably not their best pushers, because I want to say it was just Closer and Someday that had it at the end? After all that, so not a lot of push potential there with just 2 Baron buffs, and so they get absolutely nothing from that. They don't even try to funnel into one lane to maybe get something out of it. They just don't get any turrets out of that Baron buff, so we took that away from them in an instant. And then we get to the 3rd Baron, which we use yet again really, really well. Something I've talked about before, and I know LCS broadcast has brought it up every once in a while, is Team Liquid has a formula for when they get Baron. They're going to push mid lane and another lane. We did exactly that. We were like, all right, we learned from Team Liquid them. We know how to bring out the perfect strat. And so we were and we didn't just do mid and top. We just kept making 100 Thieves dance around. It's like, all right, are you going to defend here? You going to defend here? Like, we're sieging. We don't even have to go in. We're still taking your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So that, we had chipped away at the Nexus turrets. We got 2 inhibs out of it. We got on their inhib turret. It was just, we used it so effectively, and it was very beautiful to see.
Yeah, Nox, I mean, were there any other standout moments for you in this matchup?
I mean, the main thing I really just want to highlight for this matchup was just how well Takui played.
Yeah.
There is a reason why this man ended up getting Player of the Week,
Mhm.
and it comes solely off of this game. It's not even the Dignitas game, because if I'm being honest, I don't think he really did all that much in the Dignitas game. This game alone is the reason why he did the Player of the Week.
I would say
Um,
what he didn't do in the Dignitas game was make critical mistakes, and he was
Yeah.
stable and he
Yeah.
played well.
Yeah. This game though, he shined.
Yeah.
He absolutely shined. I think he had the only one mistake of getting caught in the mid lane, and even then, that was with the pretense and idea of having Aframu right behind him with the lantern. Like he thought he was going to get out of that situation.
He just got chained.
Yeah. In which case, I mean, okay, at least you weren't just being dumb. You had a whole you weren't being greedy for the tower plates. Like he just got caught. The rest of the game, he played immaculate though. The cages were great. The predator use was awesome. And I mean, part of that final fight. Like, are we getting into the final fight now?
I think we get to.
Yeah, I think we get to the final
Okay.
fight.
So that final fight, the idea from Abadage, it's there. It's the right idea. But dude, you were 40-something minutes into a late game fight with a Vhagar who has over 1,000 AP. You cannot dive into him. You cannot. You get one shot like you did, and don't get me wrong, it's still a winnable fight at that point because you have Johnson who is still coming back from base, and you have a dead Aframu. It is effectively still a 3v4.
Mm-hmm.
But again, Takui hits a two-man route with the Everfrost, manages to stasis in time while dropping his Dark Matter right on top of FBI, chunking him for, I think it was 85% of his health. And then you just have Johnson who's lined up with the shot that cleans it up.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that ult was so beautiful to watch.
But it did nothing effectively outside of just the execute. All of that was Takui. All of that was Takui.
Yeah.
And so I cannot get over. I'm sorry, Abadage. I know a lot of 100 Thieves fans right now are very annoyed with your play. I actually think he did okay for the most part in this game, but that was a critical mistake. And I think, honestly, it kind of comes down to the fact that Vhagar's not a popular champion. It's not something you run into. You do not run into situations where you're playing a 40-minute Vhagar with over 1,000 AP stacks all that often, right? You don't think about the fact that, oh, I have package. I'm going to dive in, and then he's going to one-shot me with his ultimate. It's not something that comes to your mind. You think, I may get chunked, but I should still be able to kite and, fight it out a little bit. You don't think to get one shot. So I'm going to give Abadage a lot of leeway on this, but he did make a mistake there, and Takui punished literally about 100% as much as he could have.
Yeah,
and it's just beautiful.
Yeah, no, it was really good. The final fight, there was something really small in that fight that was super key, but Takui saves. I still am trying to remember what the new items are called. I think it's the Everfrost.
Yeah.
The Everfrost, and he ends up rooting two people right in front of him, and that gives him just enough space to get out. But just the ability to react in such a perfect sequencing was so cool to see. And I loved the Vhagar. Hey, you know what? If he's got that in his back pocket, then I am okay with us letting other teams blind pick Corki on B1 more often. If we can bust out the Vhagar to...
Well, speaking of the Corki, also another finesse mode. Corki's packaging right past you. That had to be an instant. You have this much time as he's just zooming to have him in your range, Well,
I believe, is the Vhagar ult point and click?
It is point and click, but you have to see him coming by.
Right. And you just have to you have to get on it. Which again, that does point to me the strangeness of the decision by Abadage to go in like that when it's some point and click abilities that Takui has access to. It's not like he has to hit a LeBlanc chain or a Jinx zap or something like that. It's just point and click delete. I mean, that's really what happened. Takui like sees him coming, and he goes Control Alt Delete, and he calls it he calls it a day on him. So, at the end of the day, it's a dub. Maybe not the cleanest dub than that we've had all season, but it was definitely a dub. Here's another discussion point about the 100 Thieves game, though. Once is an accident, twice is a coincidence, and 3 times is a pattern. This is now the 3rd week in a row that FlyQuest has released an, hopefully I'm pronouncing this, Ikebana dedication video, and we have subsequently then beaten that team. And this is a legitimate question I want to pose. The Ikebana curse, who should we be applying it to for Super Week? I'm just assuming it's legitimate at this point. Like, there's really no discussion in my mind.
We're throwing it at C9 for sure.
I think you have to throw it at C9. And that will definitely... Now, if you want to think about it from a content standpoint, it probably would be smartest of them to do C9 for this, because it's like, okay, Immortals doesn't really have a fan base. EG kind of does, but not as big as Cloud9. I mean, if you look at the 2 teams that we could have picked this week, who has the bigger fan base? 100 Thieves or Dig? 100 Thieves.
Yeah.
TSM versus Team Liquid, a bit of a toss-up, a bit of a coin toss there, but still, TSM still has a pretty big fan base. And then the week before, it was Golden Guardians, right?
Yep.
So, and people, I would say, like Golden Guardians more than they do CLG right now, even though CLG still might have the bigger fan base. From a content standpoint, I think you pick Cloud9 for your Ikebana dedication curse.
Remind me again, what was the second one?
It was TSM.
TSM?
Yeah.
TSM has a bigger fan base than Team Liquid.
TSM does have a bigger fan base.
I would agree.
I was just thinking, are we going down, do we have any connections to past ones? Because, with GG, we're, giving the Ikebana to Licorice. PoE isn't on TSM anymore, so we have no one to there.
Curry's not on TSM either, is he?
Nope, he's a free agent.
Afromoo, at least here, Afromoo's good. So, I was thinking, it's definitely content-wise probably going to be C9.
Yeah.
So, content-wise, I would agree C9. However, if this curse is real, I actually want to give it to EG.
I don't.
Why not?
Bro, they shouldn't be 2-4. That's all I'm going to say. They shouldn't be 2-4, and somehow they are.
Are you saying that as in they should be worse than that or better than that?
No, they should be better than that.
Yeah.
I don't know what is going on in EG.
Yeah, and that's why I want to give it to EG, because I think they're going to get their crap figured out, so I want to give them one little more curse so we stay above them. Because I think Cloud9's actually going to be crapping the bed right now dealing with the loss of LS.
Last Shadow.
Maybe so.
Lost streamer, if you will. I think we're in agreement, though, that the Ikebana curse is real, and, other teams should beware it. It is a reality, and you need to take that into account when you are doing your weekly prep for this team. Let's talk week 4. It is Super Week. Very exciting. We've not really had a Super Week to this extent. Now, I mean, I know last year we had 3 games a week. So we're back to that. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Friday taking on, as I pull up the schedule, where is it? I don't have it here.
It's on wallesports.com.
It is, and I was just...
I also typed it on the FlyQuest subreddit, so...
It's also on lol.fandom.com.
Evil Geniuses, last game of the day versus Evil Geniuses on Friday. Second to last 4th game of the day on Saturday versus Immortals. and first game of the day versus Cloud9 on Sunday. Let's talk about this. I think there's a little bit to discuss here. Plenty of things to talk about. EG floundering right now. Not living up to the hype that was promised. JoJo is not the second coming of NA. At least so far, still plenty of time, for him to, show what he can do. He's only played 6 games, yada, yada, yada. My name is Tim Sevenhusen, and I'm just going to defend JoJo until I die. Look, I love Tim. I really do. But, Travis was making fun of him on Hotline League last week, or, they'll lose, and Tim will, run to Twitter to be like, this isn't JoJo's best, he is yet to show what he can do. And it's like, yeah, I agree, but, we know.
You're kind of being a helicopter parent
we know, Tim. we're aware, whatever. All right, EG. I have an apology to make, first of all, in that my predictions last week, I said 0-2, and I was wrong. I was very wrong, in fact. It was quite the opposite. So the real question is, should I just go ahead and predict 0-3 for the week and, just reverse psychology the boys into a 3-0 weekend?
Give it your genuine thought.
No, I think I'm optimistic about this. I think EG seems to be in a bit of a rough place. Things don't seem to be working out there as well as they possibly could be. I think Takui looks like a better mid laner right now than JoJo has been. Johnson and Afro are proving to be, again, a very strong, stable bot lane. Kumo has looked nutty. Jose looks really good. I think Inspired is still very good, and Impact is still really good. But I feel like it's the mid to bot side of the map for us that we actually might have the advantage on right now. And so right now, I'm calling it for us over EG. I'm putting down FlyQuest for myself. But, certainly willing to hear some arguments in both directions.
I mean...
So,
yeah.
Go ahead, Curly.
I'm just going to say this right now. The only thing I might be slightly worried about would be Impact, and after this weekend with Kumo's performance, I'm not worried about that. And I might be hyphy. I might be huffing hopium after the high of what we're doing right now. But, I'm going to say an EG win because I'm not afraid to say that Takui is 100% better than Jojo Pion. He just is. He is. You can try to tell me otherwise, and I'll listen to you, and I'll figure out any argument to tell you otherwise. Inspired, here's an interesting one for me. Inspired has not been looking quite as good as I expected him to be, especially because, I'm a huge LEC fan. I thought he was going to be a good fit for this EG roster. He's not been kind of living up to snuff. Danny and Vulcan, I think they're still good, but just not as good as Johnson and Aframu have been. So all around, I just fully believe in this team's ability to take on EG.
All right, I'm putting you down for FlyQuest. Nox, give me... Is it pessimistic Nox this week, or is it optimistic Nox?
So, I wanted to bring up, speaking of curses and everything, it is a 3-day match schedule this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no.
I'm sure y'all remember last year's curse that we had.
I do.
Is there a world where we go back to the 1-2 curse?
Absolutely not.
So, it's just interesting because this is a weekend where you had two teams who, theoretically, power ranking-wise, should have been above us, right? In EG and Cloud9. And then you've had Immortals who's, since the very beginning, just not been looking good. That lines up with a 1-2, is all I'm going to say. But I'll break it down by the line. I do think we will beat EG. Something I want to keep an eye on, and is something I will point out in the weekend forecast, is that EG has been putting a lot of emphasis on giving JoJo Corki. And I personally...
Vygar time, baby.
I personally, with my silver brain analysis, I don't think Corki is a pick for JoJo. There is not a lot of agency on Corki outside of those package timers, which was nerfed, by the way. So instead of every 5 minutes, it's 6 minutes, or something like that. You're really relying on the poke, which is strong. It's busted, but that's not the kind of player JoJo is. He's the kind of person that wants to create plays. So, Fly, and how well Sharks has been drafting lately, if they can somehow force JoJo onto another Corki pick, I know that's kind of terrifying because of how strong it is right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not all that worried because JoJo's been showing that he really can't do much on the pick. So, and even then, if you can force him onto something that isn't as agency heavy, I think we'll be okay. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to say Fly takes this match against EG.
I like it. I like it a lot. Immortals. Immortals is a really bad team. And it's weird because I'm about to say a phrase about this game that I'm not used to saying. But I'm concerned about this being a trap game.
I am too, actually. I'm actually really worried about this game.
Considering that we have seen Immortals actually beat strong teams like 100 Thieves. Strong team, very good team, but, did drop to Immortals. I think on the day, Immortals could show up and do well. I am still personally going to predict FlyQuest here because I just think we are the better team overall. But yeah, this is a potential trap game, and I am a little worried about it. Curly, how do you feel about going up against Immortals?
The only thing I would be slightly worried about is mid lane. Because, we're still kind of in control mage meta, and PoE is control mage guy, like he is who you think of. And so I'm very intrigued to see how our current Fly mid laner handles our old Fly control mage mid laner. And so that's something I'm going to be very excited to see. But otherwise, I'm not too concerned at all. I don't think it's going to be a trap game because from what I've seen from Immortals gameplay, even in the victory against 100 Thieves and then EG, the way they play, they almost lost to EG at some points, if you ask me. And it was just they had some good resilience and were able to focus on some slip-ups from 100 Thieves. So I'd say 100 Thieves game against Immortals was more of a throw than their game against us. Like, it wasn't a throw, but it was closer to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where they made bigger mistakes that Immortals was able to latch onto. So I don't think Immortals is going to play better than us, especially after how perfectly coordinated we seemed this weekend. I think it's just we're going to be able to manipulate the map way better. We're going to... Kumo is better than Revenge. Wild Turtle looks a little inconsistent. Xerxes is there. So I think we're just better across the board and our gameplay is better. And so I just think we should win this, no cap.
Yeah.
And if we lose this, that makes me a little concerned because if we pull off these wins against 100 Thieves and then these other just really good plays, and then we somehow throw to Immortals, I'd be like, I don't know, it feels icky, but I don't think we're gonna win.
Yeah. Nox.
Yeah, I'm not gonna sit on this too long. I think we'll win it. I am a little nervous because I do think Immortals has shown glimpses of improvement, and that, and I'm really hoping that we give Immortals the due respect that they deserve, because I do think they can absolutely stunt on us randomly if they get the chance. But we should win it. I think overall we've shown better coordination and especially better team fighting than they have.
Mm-hmm.
So it should be a dub for us.
Yeah. All right, and the final match of the week, the first game on Sunday against Cloud9, and so I'll start with my prediction, which is a loss here. I am going to predict the loss. However, what I want to say about this weekend just in general is that I think the variance is all over the place. EG could get their crap together and absolutely roll. Immortals could be the trap game that we're worried about. C9, we know that they can be very good, and hey, maybe after a week to recover from, the loss of their coach, I talk about him like he died or something.
In the eyes of the LCS,
in the eyes of the LCS and of Cloud9, he kind of did, but in firing their coach, I expect them to be, all business and back to it. So we could easily go 0-3 this weekend, in my opinion. But I also think we could go 3-0 because Cloud9 has not looked super consistent. And I think there have been some times where, they have not played to their best. I mean, they dropped to CLG this past weekend. So I am going to put down C9 for my prediction here. However, I certainly think it can be, a fly win overall. Ooh, and I need to fix this.
Your boxes are messed up, Sandy.
You know what? I did not.
It's fine. It's fine. I was late.
I'm not used to having 3 boxes, 3 rows necessary. So we don't usually call out stuff in the chat, but I do want to shout out what Ars Key just wrote. This week is 3-0 to 0-3, no middle ground. I mean, yeah, I agree. It could be. I think it could really go any way. I think we could beat any of these teams, and I think we could lose to any of these teams. But I am calling the 2-1 week. So, Nox, let's start with you for the Cloud9 game, because I think this one is the toughest to predict out of them all.
Yeah, I'm actually going to side with you on this one, Sandy. I think it'll be a Cloud9 win. In all the interviews that I've seen so far, especially coming from Fudge, it seems that there's already been turmoil around the whole LS situation. There was just LS was doing a lot of work, but apparently it's not, whatever the reason was, it was not the direction Cloud9 wanted to go, right? So I think the staff and the players at Cloud9 are still good enough to have proper strategy prep and proper gameplay, but I think a lot of it was the turmoil and I want to emphasize this, the distractions that were happening in that environment leading up to this past weekend. Obviously, now with LS gone, I think the distractions are done and taken care of. I think Cloud9 will have a different look, which actually is kind of scary for us because it may make them a little harder to prep for instead of having the past 3 weeks of hey, here's how LS is doing things. Maybe we can think of a strategy that way. Now we have to kind of go back to how's Max Waldo going to want to play it. So I actually think it may be slightly harder for us to prep for him this week, and I think it's kind of going to go back to Cloud9 being Cloud9 and just being solid players and not having any turmoil distracting from practice time or going on stage or whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm. I do want to quickly note here. I don't know if any of you saw C9 Summit's tweet over the weekend, where it was just literally a video of him walking down the hallway in the LCS studio, and he just writes, "On my way to beat the shit out of TSM," and then someone replied and added Fudge and was like, "Did you write this tweet for Summit?" And then Summit replies and just goes, "I wrote it myself." I just greatly appreciate that. There's the tweet in the chat if you wanna go read that. So look, yeah, I think C9 is going to be back to business and doing their thing. I think the demise of the Church of LS has been greatly exaggerated. I think they can absolutely still do the things and the strategies that he has been proclaiming. They're just not going to really do it with him there, which is going to be weird. Not going to get into what happened there. We don't know. Absolutely no idea. Curly, give us your Fly C9 thoughts.
You guys have your extinguishers?
Oh gosh.
Hold on. You know what? We gotta just start having them prepped for you, Curly.
I might be being a little hyphy.
A little
hyphy here. I might be off of this awesome, beautiful weekend. But I think I was not a believer in the church. I was a sacrilegious person to begin with. However, I believe that the church helped C9 way more than people realize. Especially because when you bring the Church of LS into the role swap of Fudge. Now, granted, Fudge all showed last season he can learn, he can improve over a season. However, I feel like you take all these components and you take out LS, it's gonna hurt things. And granted, Saturday they lost to CLG partially because it was probably a very sudden, or like they were dealing with all of that behind the scenes stuff, so they weren't able to fully prep. However, and then it can even translate to Sunday, where a lot of people will say that TSM threw the game more than C9 won the game.
TSM should have won that.
Yeah, so they didn't, like, their win against TSM, not illegitimate, but not very legitimate. And I just, I was waiting for my turn, did a little bit of a stat comparison. And in every role, statistically, our players are doing better, aside from support, where it's hard to gauge statistically, like on Oracle's Elixir, because with the vision and all that stuff, it's like weird stats. But for the kill share, the kill participation, everything, our individual players are doing better than Cena to begin with, right? And then we take all that stats out of it because statistics-based analysis is like good for something.
Mm-hmm.
I think we just have the superior team environment. I think we just have shown that we are a squad that fully believes in each other, that is able to withstand punches thrown at us, that is able to learn from every match and step up and meet the best of the best. And I'm not saying C9 is going to be easy. I do think that they'll have that week to recover from not LS. They're still going to look good. But the way that Sharks and Richard draft, the way that Sharks and Richard prep, the way that they run this team, and the way that the players run with each other is just going to be better League of Legends. And then on top of that, even if you take all of that away, Tukui is going to be better than Fudge, without a doubt. And Jose Diodo has shown that he can take Tukui's confidence and ability to win lane and translate it into something for the rest of the team. And Blabber is Blabber. Like, even when he's really good, he days, man. So, like, Jose Diodo this season hasn't had a weird day. So I think we just win. We just win.
Just win, bro. Just win.
So it's a 3-0 from me.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you go. Yeah. I mean, just to sum things up, yeah, I think we're all clearly all in agreement. EG and Immortals should be dubs. EG looks discombobulated. Immortals just looks bad. A little bit of disagreement on Cloud9 versus Fly, but hey, what is this show without some light disagreement over whether we're going to win the split or finish in 10th, you know?
At least Curly has faith.
It's not like we don't. We're predicting a 2-1 weekend. So, there is that.
He's a pure believer.
Yeah, he's a pure believer. Shoot, there was something I wanted to. Oh, I wanted to quickly mention. We talked about it earlier. Big shout out to Takui, Player of the Week. That is not an accolade that we want to just gloss over. That's really cool to see. Great to see a FlyQuest player get it. From what I can tell, we're doing pretty well in the POG leaderboard right now, so that's great. What we are going to gloss over real quick is how I did in Fantasy versus Curly. I actually, what happened? It was the craziest thing. I logged into the Sleeper app today, and it was just like, oh, you're going to get nothing happened. The records are being erased, and
mine didn't say that. I got
as soon as Nox gets my PayPal payment, the records should be changed to accurately reflect who won that matchup.
I actually completely forgot that I can do that.
Yeah, so
my base points are the best in this week, regardless. So I think it's a fair win on my.
Well, I believe you had you had both Jose and Tukui as the highest
base stat earners. Yes.
Yeah, base stat earners. But the worst part was that I had the highest top lane and support earners in Kumo and Huhi. So that was
Here's the thing, Huhi, like you and I both got our respective picks for the 100 Thieves bot lane in our because I have FBI and you have Huhi. They did good even in loss, so they're still good players, and it was still good to have them on your team. It's just I have a better overall team.
Dang it! I was trying to make a copy pasta real quick. I was trying to do the. Hello Nox War, Sandy-Toes here. Check PayPal, thank you, in the chat real quick. All right, great. That is the Flight Check Fantasy recap real quick. Moving on quickly, just to wrap up the show, the Academy update. They go 1-1 and 1-1. Nox, I don't know how much of Academy you got to watch this week, but any points there that you want to bring up?
We played hold on, I know. Who did we play? Sorry, one sec.
You're our Academy guy. Come on.
So I remember the games. I don't remember who we played though. I'm sorry. Because a lot of the reason why I'm not remembering is because we kind of had the exact same issues and same good things as we have in past weeks. Okay, we played EGA and Immortals. That's right, okay. In which case, both games were kind of the same thing for us. We had a great early game, game 1 against EG, and then game 2 came around, and we were winning the early game yet again, and we did our classic one in the jungle and got collapsed on, and then Kaori got 3 kills, and then promptly proceeded to roll the rest of the game, and it was a 1-1. And then Immortals was a bit different in the sense of the game that we lost. They just kind of stopped us from the very beginning, but it was kind of the same thing for when we beat them the first game as well. We just kind of stomped them in the beginning. So more than anything, I think we just got to work on our consistency now. This team is actually we're ranked 9th in Academy right now, but we're playing like we're trying to get into the top 4. I think honestly. Yeah. We're really, really good, and our ranking does not represent where we're at.
I think, for me, seeing the consistent improvement over the last few weeks gives me faith for when it comes to Proving Grounds that we are not going to fall to some amateur teams early on, in the Proving Grounds play-in. I mean, this is assuming that we don't make some kind of miracle run and get top 6 in Academy regular season. So barring that, I'm assuming, okay, we're probably going to be in this Proving Grounds play-in. Knowing the quality of teams, of amateur teams that will likely be in that play-in, it's not going to be 100 next, It's not going to be, any of the other. It's not going to be Winthrop. It's not going to be any of the other top amateur teams. I have full faith that we will pull through that and make it into the regular Proving Grounds event. Which I don't know if I would have been able to say after weeks 1 and 2, but after the last few weeks, I mean, I'll take 1-1s. I'll take some 1-1s. I would prefer some 2-0s eventually, but yeah, I'll take some 1-1s. Curly, I don't know if you have any thoughts on just how Academy is going.
I gotta wait for my schedule to allow me to watch it. They go
Fair
live
enough.
while I'm in or like in class, and then I gotta go to work. It's not working out, man.
Happens to the best of us. All right. Any final notes? Any topics that we want to hit on that we did not touch on yet?
Very fast Smash update. Kadoran won Lawless Melee number 3, his 3rd in a row. He's doing really, really well. And then FlyQuest X Training Ground Tuesdays starts tomorrow.
Yes. Oh, I can't believe we didn't talk about this.
Yo!
Literally announced right after our show ended last week. FlyQuest announced that they are going to be now sponsoring Kadoran's Training Mode Tuesdays. I don't know if it's his tournament, but it's definitely something he's helped organize. So there's now a $1,000 prize pool every week, which is incredible, giving it a lot more support. It's going to be on twitch.tv/FlyQuest, so that is really dope. As well, at least I believe they said on the announcement that it was going to be twitch.tv/FlyQuest.
It's either that or Kadoran's.
Either that or Kadoran's channel, per usual. And some big names coming on the show. Toph, Zane, some other Melee guys. So that is really exciting to see us getting more involved in the Smash scene. I just remembered the other thing I wanted to talk about. I know we have some new community socials interns out there. Mm-hmm. And, I've noticed the quality of tweets from the account has risen recently. And I just want to shout that out. Thank you for making some good tweets, some banger content that I can retweet and feel good about. Especially today's tweet of, what other esports would you like to see us #showcase greatness in?
I was about to mention that, man.
And they list CSGO, Apex Legends, Dota 2, and a little game. You might have heard of it. Also by Riot. Called Valorant. Please give me a FlyQuest Valorant team. I am begging, I am crying, pleading, smashing things, rolling around on the ground. Give me a tier 2 FlyQuest Valorant team. That's all I ask for.
Please.
Yeah, I don't even need it to be tier 1. I just want to have something to root for in VCT.
I do want to point out really fast, though, that Aframu replied to that tweet with the eyes emoji, and then he said Apex ?
He did.
I think he likes.
I don't know if that means anything.
I think he
may just like it, but
okay. So Aframu said Apex, please, and then Nick replied with the eyes
that's
emoji.
what it was. Yeah.
So interesting. Maybe I'll have to get on some Apex sometime soon. That would be
Valorant all the way. We got to get in.
I do think Valorant would be my favorite.
100%. Well, I mean, they already have Fiend. Fiend responded to that with Diamond play.
Yeah.
So I think Valorant's the way to go. We need another way that we can beat 100 Thieves.
Yeah.
Because they're just crumbling there anyway. So might as well take advantage of it.
Ooh, yikes! All right. That is the show. Hey, I want to give a thank you to TMB.TV for the resub. 2 months now from TMB. We appreciate your support on the show. And we got a couple follows as well. Arsky and O Cosmic with the follows. We are one follower away from 100 followers right now. So if you are tuned in and you are not following the show, smash that follow button. If you're listening to this on YouTube or on Spotify or whatever, go to twitch.tv/FlightCheckCrew, smash the follow button, get those notifications on, and you'll know when we go live. Thank you for listening to the show tonight. Week 4 Super Week is coming up. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. E.g. Immortals Cloud9. We're either playing at the end of the day, pretty much, or at the beginning. End of the day, Friday, Saturday. Beginning of the day on Sunday. Be sure to follow the show on Twitter for all our instant reactions and thoughts. You can catch the show at Flight Check Crew, myself at SantosDB, Noxwar at Nox with 2 R's, and Curly at Curly_QQ_. Make sure to hop into the Flight Check Crew Discord as well, where all kinds of esports discussion, Smash discussion, and who knows, maybe some Apex discussion, and a little bit of Valo discussion takes place here and there. If you missed any part of this episode, the VOD will be up here on Twitch later tonight and tomorrow morning, and as well as on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, Flight Check Podcast. Thank you so much, by the way, for 50 subscribers on the YouTube channel. Really appreciate the support there. If you're looking to follow us here on Twitch, hey, you should go and follow, hit the subscribe button on Flight Check Podcast as well. And you can get notified when the VOD is up and when the weekend forecast comes out. The audio version of this episode should go up on Spotify tomorrow morning. And if you're listening to that and would like to catch the show live, we broadcast the episode every Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. 8 p.m. Let me say that. Hang on. One more time. It's at 8 p.m. right here at twitch.tv/FlightCheckCrew. Hey, Nox, what time does the show start?
8 p.m.
It starts at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Curly, any final notes or shout-outs, plugs before we call it a night?
Honestly, just really happy with everything that's going on this season. FlyQuest just keeps showing why I love them as an organization. And then also shout out to Fiend for designing this wonderful jersey that I finally got after some mail mishaps. And then also retweeting me when I posted it, as the FlyQuest page also did. Love when they hype me up when I just put on their awesome clothes. Like, they make me look 1,000 times better, and they're like, oh my gosh, look at this guy. No, it's great. But yeah, shout out to all that. And then shout out to the fact that I'm also the only one with perfect pick'ems in terms of the podcast. So let's see if we can keep that up next week.
Well, when you forget, like me, to actually do your pick'ems, then
no. I mean just the FlyQuest pick'ems.
Oh,
I don't know where I am in like the FlyQuest community pick'ems. I just mean our games.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I'm the only one with a perfect record so far.
I see. Nox, how about you? Any final shout-outs or plugs?
I'm buying a calendar and noting the times from now on. Outside of that, no. Super week, super awesome.
It is.
I am... Sorry, I kind of just went scatterbrain for a second. I am reffing again starting tomorrow for the Proving Grounds qualifiers. So go tune in, watch that. I think there's still one more game going on. It may have just ended, actually. But yeah, go watch those because that'll give you an idea who's participating in Proving Grounds, who our Academy team may end up playing.
Yep.
Other than that, I've got nothing. We went 2-0 weekend we went 2-0 this past weekend. Like, I'm just feeling good.
It feels pretty good. Yeah, not gonna lie. For myself, yeah, please go watch Proving Grounds. Make sure to support the Academy boys if you can. And shout out to everyone out there who is making it through hopefully nearing the end of COVID times and getting back to some level of quasi normalcy. We're almost there. We'll make it, and everything will be okay. I can promise you that everything in the end is gonna work out. We will be back next week to discuss Super Week and celebrate a 3-0 weekend, obviously. So for now, stay safe out there. Don't forget to hit the head on the nail, and we will see you all very, very soon. Adios!
Have a good one, guys.
Peace, y'all.